Hello everybody and welcome back to Knitting with Betty. Today is January the 20th and it is known worldwide as Blue Monday. Now I think it's because it's January and everyone's miserable in January, and it's like you've still got quite a bit to go before it's payday, so everyone's just a bit broke, a bit miserable because it's January and you know the Christmas festive season's over, so that's why it's on the 20th of January. So I am fully allowing you to embrace things that give you joy today. So actually when you watch this it won't be the 20th of January, it'll be the 21st or 22nd because it takes me a couple of days to edit these. But I am fully allowing you to embrace joy, so if that means having a nice cup of tea, having a piece of cake, doing anything that brings you joy, knitting of course, using bright colours and wearing bright colours, wearing bright red lipstick, just do something that brings you joy today so that you're less miserable. Because it is a horrid old world out there, isn't it? So if you can embrace the joy, do it. And actually that was one of the things that on my last video someone commented about my predictions for the year, and they predicted that bright colours are going to be back because they bring people joy, don't they? So embrace that. So what have I been up to? So I've had my birthday, another year older. And for the day I decided that I wasn't going to work. So usually I work on my birthday. It's always you know, during working times, so I've never had the luxury of having an employer that has given me the day off, and most of my life I've actually been self-employed, so when you're self-employed you can't not work, because if you don't work you don't get paid. But this year I thought, nope, I'm going to do something on my birthday just for myself and not work. So I decided I wanted to go to Bath for the day, which is a nearby town, which is a beautiful, beautiful town. I think it's a city really, but it's one of those cities, it's really small, so you can literally walk from one end to the other. And it's just really beautiful. So it's sort of the home of Regency style. So all the buildings are in that kind of beautiful sandstone colour, and it's just a really picturesque city. And I went there, I think, was it last year or the year before? Might have been the year before. And I really enjoyed it. And there's 2 yarn shops in Bath, so that's why I chose Bath, because I thought it's going to be a fun day out. But I looked up the trains, and annoyingly it was all bus replacement services to Bath that day. So I think you could get the train to somewhere like Warminster, and then from Warminster it was a bus in. And I thought, oh God, I don't know. Like for the Brits, we think our trains are absolutely rubbish because we look to people like on the continent, and their trains are really smart. They run, they're efficient, they're usually fast trains as well, like the super fast trains, so you can get like across the country in no time at all. But in the UK they're not as good as that. They're a bit rubbish. They're always striking, and we have bus replacement services pretty much all the time, which is really annoying because Bath, as the crow flies from where I live, it's probably an hour and a quarter as the crow flies. To drive it, it's more like an hour and a half because traffic, and you can't go like directly there, can you? It's like all the windy, windy A roads rather than motorways. There's no motorways where I live. They're all A roads, which is a pain in the bum. So you can't get anywhere any time fast, and so it takes about an hour and a half. By train it takes about 2 hours. I'm not on the Bath line, so I have to go across to Salisbury and change at Salisbury to then go across to Bath. So it's a bit inconvenient, but 2 hours, it's not that bad. I could cope with that. With the bus replacement services, it was going to take over 3 hours to get there, and I was thinking, do I want to sit for 3 hours there and 3 hours back? So 6 hours of my birthday just travelling? Not really. So that idea was out the window, which is a shame because there's a shop there that I really want to visit called A Yarn Story. They're really prominent on Instagram, and they're really good. And I think they have a YouTube channel actually. So I was looking forward to going there, but alas, no. So instead I chose to go to Exeter, which is another town that's quite close by. And on the train it's only about an hour and 10 minutes, so it's a little bit closer. Although, again, as the crow flies, it's about the same distance as Bath. It's just Bath is a pain in the bum to get to. So I decided to go to Exeter, and I've never been to Exeter before. So for those of you not in the UK, Exeter is it's a university town, and Exeter Uni is a really good university to go to. So a lot of sort of, how do I put this nicely? A lot of posh people go to Exeter because it's a really nice university to go to, and it's a nice town, a nice university town. Actually, having been there, I don't see why it's such a nice town. Like, I went to art school in Bournemouth. I actually found Bournemouth was a bit nicer, which is saying something. But yeah, it was busy. I think with being in the country, we've kind of forgotten how busy it is, because I went with my mum. And unfortunately, where the train spits you out at the train station, as soon as you come out of the train station, opposite is a college. And a college in the UK is from ages 16 to 18. So my mum and I came out the train station and we were surrounded by teenagers, which was not a pleasant experience. But never mind. We did go and explore, and actually the most exciting thing for us anyway, which Susan, when I told her about this, she laughed at me for, is that there was a big Marks and Spencer's there. So we spent most of the day in Marks and Spencer's because it was very exciting. It's a really big shop, and actually the Marks and Spencer's in Yeovil, near where I live, it's quite a good one actually, but the Exeter one is a lot bigger. And so it was really exciting just to explore a new Marks and Spencer's, and they had a concession stand there for Jaeger, the clothing brand, and I bought the most amazing pastel purple skirt that I will show you because it's so beautiful. It was hanging on a mannequin, and I just, as soon as I saw it, I was like, I have to have it. It's so beautiful. It's a merino wool skirt, and it's just like a pencil skirt really. Now it is a little bit long on me because I'm a bit short, so what I'm going to have to do is do like a blind hem on it just to take it up a little bit. But it was so beautiful, such a beautiful colour. And obviously being merino, it's beautifully soft. And these kind of woolen kind of knit dresses and skirts and things are really in fashion at the moment. I've likened it very much to the style that Meghan Markle wears. And like, say what you want of her, she does dress very, very smartly. And she wears these kind of like knitted, like she wears them in cream, which is not practical colour for me, but beautiful like knitted sets. And there's a lot of like loungewear out at the moment of skirts and trousers and knitted tops to go with them. So I couldn't resist this skirt. I don't know if you, there we go, that's better. It's just a really simple, like, I guess it's an A-line skirt, but it's almost like a pencil skirt. And on the mannequin, I'll pop up a picture. It had a beautiful blouse with it, a purple blouse, but I didn't get the blouse in the end because I thought I don't really need to spend that much on a skirt and blouse, but I did buy the skirt because I thought it was beautiful. And I do actually have a lilac blouse from a different company coming in the post. I'm hoping will match with that skirt. But I do have plans. I've wanted for a long time now. Last year I saw a lot of like big, loose, fluffy kind of knitted cardigans, and I've wanted to knit them, one of those, for a while, and I saw them in like beautiful pastel colours, so I'm thinking like a pastel purple one for like a colour drenched outfit would be lovely, with my purple blouse, my purple skirt and a nice little cardigan. So that's on my to knit this year, which I've got a lot of things on my to knit list this year actually. But yeah, so I bought that beautiful skirt, and my mum paid some money towards it because it was my birthday. And we also, talking about things that bring you joy, I got a birthday cake, which was very exciting. And it was quite an expensive cake from Marks and Spencer's. It was £20, which I think for a cake is a lot of money. and they've shrunk the size of their cakes, I swear. It's shrinkflation for you. But it was a lemon and blackcurrant cake, and oh my god, it was so good. It was really worth the money. Like, I can highly recommend. So if you see a lemon and blackcurrant cake in Marks and Spencer's, buy it, because it's really, really good. It's not too sweet as well, which I find with shop bought cakes, they can put a lot of like the butter icing on, but it did have a lot of butter icing, but it was quite the blackcurrants and the lemon were quite sharp, so it wasn't too sweet, which was nice. So yeah, I can definitely recommend that. And I did eat quite a lot of cake. But the other thing I did in Exeter is there are 2 yarn shops in Exeter. So they're slightly different from the Bath shops in that one of them is like a designer / brand shop. So it's called Avec Annna, which I believe she is French. A French designer. She wasn't in the shop that day, but one of her assistants was helping me. And it was a really, really beautiful shop. So I went on her website before I visited, just because I'm nosy. And I wasn't actually that inspired. Like, it's that typical French style. So they have double merino, which is, I think it's the double knit weight. Is that why they call it double merino? I don't know. Then I think, is it just merino on its own? But there's 4-ply. And then they have mohair to match, all in the same colours, which is very much typical of the French style, I would say. So if you think about the brands that I've mentioned before, like Lise, Tailor and Massimil, they both have that very they have merino, they have double knit merino, and they have a mohair yarn as well, all in the same colours. So it was very much in the same style, which I'm going to name the French style. I don't know if the rest of France is any different. Maybe it is, I don't know, but to me that's what screams French, is mohair. It would seem. But on the website they seemed quite muted colours. They weren't really, like, some of them were my colours, but it wasn't really my style necessarily. Like, and her designs are modern styles and not really my kind of style. Like, I liked a few of her things. I actually did buy a scarf pattern on Ravelry after I'd been, because I think it's really pretty. But I wouldn't necessarily say her style is my style. But actually, when I got into the shop, I was pleasantly surprised. And the yarns are really saturated colours. They're really beautiful. They're like your typical jewel tones. They're really, really gorgeous. And I did buy some yarn. Let me grab it. And they wrapped it up all nicely for me. Look at the little tape, and the tissue paper's all branded, which is a lovely little detail. So that was nice. Just because I usually take my own shopping bags with me, and I didn't want to get the yarn all mucky in my bag. But look at this beautiful blue. So this blue is all that rustling, sorry about that. So this is Royal, and it is a beautiful blue. Look at that in the light. It's a very, I would call this teal, that sort of greeny end of the blues, but it's absolutely beautiful. It's coming out quite blue, but it is called Royal. Oh, it suits this red lipstick, doesn't it? I just thought it was beautiful, and I didn't know what I was going to knit with it. I just bought it because I liked it. And then subsequently, when I came home, I did buy that scarf pattern. So that's probably what I'll make with this, like a little neck scarf, so which I'll pop a little picture up of. Now, the scarf that she knitted does have the strand of mohair, but I find mohair makes me itch, so I'm just going to use just these. But I think it's a beautiful colour. And I love the branding. But yeah, I was really pleasantly surprised. Oh, there we go. Let's pull it out of the light so you can see the branding. I was pleasantly surprised by the colours. They weren't as drab as I thought that they were going to be. I I guess like when you look at anything on a computer screen, it's going to be different than in real life. So definitely if you're in Exeter or in Devon, go and visit them, because they do some beautiful, beautiful colours. Or go and visit on their website and have a look, because they are just beautiful yarns. And this is, these do make me think that they are the same yarn supplier as who supplies Lise, Tailor and Massimil, because they are very similar. Does Massimil do her own yarns, or did I just make that up? Is there another French yarn that does similar? I don't know. Anyway, check them out, because they are really beautiful, and they're nice people in the shop as well. So that was the first yarn shop that I went to. Now the second yarn shop was called Yarn on the X. Yeah, Yarn on the X. So the River X runs through Exeter, which is where Exeter got its name from, I'm guessing. And so this was Yarn on the X. I really hope that's their name. And they are literally, you come down the high street and then you cross the river, and then they're on that little roundabout that the river's on. So very appropriately named. And in this shop I did buy some yarn, which I'll show you in a minute, for my new, or when I get around to it, my new project. So I'll show you, will I show you that one first? Yeah, let's go for this one first before I show you my Susan Crawford. Right, so 2 of the yarns I already have. So I am part of a Facebook group that that we knit like 1920s to 1960s type vintage patterns, and excuse me a moment. And they have organised a knit along from January the 17th, I think it was, so I just got in there in time. And we did a poll to see which era or which kind of theme you wanted the knit along to be, and the 1940s one. So I've had on my to knit list for quite a while now the Imitation Game cardigan is what I'm going to call it, and it is a Serdar pattern. I'll pop up a picture. And this was featured in the film The Imitation Game, which I think, was it 2017 it came out? Something like that. Or maybe, no, 2012 maybe. It's quite a while ago it came out, I think. And Keira Knightley wore this particular cardigan in the film. And I do not remember this at the time. Like, I watched the film at the time, but I don't remember the cardigan, funnily enough. But I have seen this cardigan on social media in the past couple of years, and absolutely fell in love with it. And loads of people fell in love with it when the film came out, because it's such a beautiful cardigan. And it's in really vivid green that the main character Keira Knightley was wearing it, and so I am going to be recreating it for this knit along. So that's the yarns that I was looking for when I was in Exeter. So at Wool on the X, or Yarn on the X, Wool on the X I think it's called, whatever it's called, I was looking for green for the green, which I bought this beautiful green from West Yorkshire Spinners, and it is exquisite 4-ply, and it's 80% Falkland wool and 20% mulberry silk. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Falkland wool tends to be merino, because it's the one place in the UK, it's not in the UK, but it's like near Argentina, but anyway, that's another question, that merino sheep can survive, because they like it a little bit warmer than we have in the UK, I think. Well, someone did tell me that people were trying to rear merino sheep in the UK, but they kept dying because it was so cold. But I swear, like, I have read since that there are farms that do have merino in the UK. So I may be wrong there. We might be able to grow it here, but I think most of our merino wool that is British comes from the Falkland Islands. So So yeah, anyway, I bought this beautiful green. It is Ivy, the colour. Let me show you. Isn't it beautiful? So that's going to be like the green stripe. Then I also bought Eden Cottage Yarns Milburn 4-ply. So that's the label there, and this is a beautiful rust colour. I think it is called Rust there. Yep, Rust. So that's like the middle bit of the X. Then wools that I already had in my stash for the rest of it. So the neutral colour is Flower Sack from Pearl Soho, and that is my recycled, not reclaimed, recycled cashmere. So that's a beautiful neutral that goes really well with it. And I was looking for a dark brown in the wool on the X, but I couldn't find one, unfortunately, because it's not really a very fashionable colour, is it? Like, who's going to do a whole jumper in brown? It's just not really done. Like, they had little balls of Jameson and Smith Shetland yarn. I'm not a Shetland yarner because it makes me itch, so I was like, I'm sorry, I can't buy that, even though it's beautiful. I just can't get on with it. But I did in my stash, I remembered when I got home, I did a jumper a couple of years ago that had, it was mainly green and it had a little brown bow intarsia stitched on it. So I had this brown, and I'm so glad that I remember that, because this is the perfect brown to go with this. So you've got all these colours. Let me see if I can hold them all at once. These are my 4 colours. Ooh. And it's going to be beautiful. I can tell already. I just know it. So these are the 4 colours that I'm using. And that was my birthday purchase. I was so pleased with that. And this is a new company to me, Eden Cottage Yarns. It is 85% Blueface Leicester, 15% silk. So again, Blueface Leicester is one of those sheep that are quite soft. So I'm slowly easing myself from the cashmere to the merino to the Blueface Leicester, and then hopefully once I'm off the Blueface Leicester I can get to more scratchy yarns. But I have actually, I used to always, like, if I bought a cardigan it would be cashmere. This is cashmere, because I couldn't tolerate I couldn't tolerate wool at all. But I have just bought a merino cardigan and it's not too scratchy, so I am getting better. I'm weaning myself off that cashmere because it is an expensive habit to have, even recycled cashmere. I haven't actually knitted with like 100% cashmere before. I am using this in my Susan Crawford knit as well, and it's not, because it's recycled cashmere and 5% other fibres, it's not as soft as like virgin cashmere is. It's a bit what's the word I'm looking, it's not rough, but it's like textured, I guess you could say. So I'll see, I'll be interested to know how this is when it washes, because when you wash normal cashmere jumpers they get softer every time you wash them, so the more you wash it the better it becomes. So it'd be really interesting to see what this is like once it's been washed, whether it will soften up a little bit. And also when you get yarns from the ball like this, sometimes at the factory they put on like a coating to, like, I don't know, make it run through the machines like an oil almost. They do on coned ones. For balled ones I'm not sure if they treat them, but I always find that like hanked up wools like this, once you've washed them they are a bit softer, so we shall see. But that is that knit, which I'm very excited to start. I really do want to start knitting that now, but I'm trying to have the ethos of finishing projects before I start a new one. So February for myself and my knitting group is Finish It February. I'm doing a class that is a UFO class, so you take in your unfinished objects and just for a couple of hours you can just sit and weave in ends or finish off things that you haven't quite finished. So February, Finish It February, I'm going to get things done finally, and before I move on to anything else. But I do have lots and lots of things that I want to get done. I really want to get a knit finished in time for Valentine's Day. which I'm not sure I'm going to do, to be honest with you. So I had lots of yarn left over from the Christmas jumper that I made my mum, which I haven't shown you yet. I'll have to get that in a minute. Once I've gone through this, I'll go and get it and bring it back and show you it. But I had quite a lot of yarn left over of the white. Oh, it smells good. So this has been in a bag that had like a what's it called, lavender bath melt in it, and it smells amazing. It smells all lavendery. So I had quite a bit left over. These are the ones where I had to shorten the sleeves for my mum, bless her. So there's a cowl that I want to knit for my dog walks that has little hearts on it, which is really beautiful. It's by Lise Tailor, and I thought this was perfect for it. So these are the reds left over from the red berries, and I'm hoping I have enough to do the whole cowl. I suppose I could just make it less long, the cowl. I'll just shorten it a little bit if I run out of yarn, but I think I should have enough. I've got another little tiny ball of the white stuff somewhere as well. So ideally I want to do that in time for Valentine's Day, just because it's got hearts on it, and also because from March it should be warming up technically on the dog walk, but yeah, I could really do with a cowl on the dog walk. Got my hat that I have been wearing on my dog walk. I will pop up some pictures. They're not very flattering pictures, which has been really brilliant actually at keeping my little noggin warm. But yeah, a nice cowl just to keep the wind off my face, because it can get quite blowy across the fields. So that's that project. Right, and then last time we spoke, I don't think I'd started my Susan Crawford knit, which technically I should have for work, but there we go. I've got quite far on it because I've been working like a demon on it. So this is the Cloudbusting Cardigan. Nearly finished the front. I've just got to do a few more rows of the pattern, and then I can do the shoulders. So I have steeked this cardigan for the very first time I'm doing steeking. So, well, that's a lie actually. I did at the Susan Crawford knitting retreat, I did a little like mug warmer where we were learning the technique. So I have done steeking before, but not on an actual project, and I'm loving it because it's just so easy. You just keep going round and round and round, and so I'm nearly at the cutting point. So that's the arm steeks. Does mean you can't try it on as you're knitting it, but it's looking a good size. I think I went for the 32-inch bust, and I didn't quite get gauge. It was coming out too small, but from the measurements chart of the actual garment rather than your measurements, which is the great thing about Susan's patterns, is that it gives you a very detailed measurement chart so that you know it's going to fit you basically. It wouldn't have hurt to be a bit smaller, so if it comes out not exactly how it should in the pattern, it should fit me, if that makes sense. So I didn't have to change the needle size to get gauge, I just left it. But what I have been doing, and I did a short on this, is I was finding that this colourwork here was quite tight, and I have had problems with colourwork in the past where the tension has changed drastically from the stocking stitch parts to the colourwork parts. So what I have been doing, which someone recommended ages ago, and I can't remember who it was, but it's genius. So the normal bits where there's less colourwork, I have been doing in the normal needle size, so it was 3.25 millimeters. I change up to a slightly bigger needle for this, for the colourwork, so I'm using a 3.5 millimeter for the colourwork, just to relax the stitches a bit so it's not quite so tight. So it has meant that it's kept the tension quite even across both sections, and you don't get that like pulling in of the colourwork that I've sometimes got. So you can see the first one, I did this in 3.25, so it's a little bit tighter, so you can see it just dips in a little bit here. But these further ones up haven't done that. So if you need to alter your tension because you're getting your colourwork is a lot tighter, definitely switch to a bigger needle size, so it makes the stitches slightly looser and bigger, and it compensates for when you're like knitting tighter, if that makes sense. So if you have interchangeable needles, it's really good because you can just change the ends. But I have been using 2 different size needles, so here's my bigger ones and the smaller ones here, and it's really improved my colourwork. So top tip, and thanks for whoever recommended that to me, because it's helped no end. So this is the front and back done, and I'll be finishing that soon, like I say, and then cutting it. So for those of you who haven't steeked before, the great thing about steeking, it means for colourwork you don't have to stop and start with your colours as much as you would if you were doing back and forth. It also keeps your tension more even, because working colourwork in purl can be a different tension to in knit stitches, and it means that if you can just carry on working in the round, and it's a lot easier than having to stop and start and go back and forward. So what you have to do before you cut it is you stitch in between the stitches. So if I pull it apart, you stitch down here, or that's the actual steek part. So you'd stitch in between these stitches here, and with you can either do it on the sewing machine, or you can do like a back stitch by hand. I think some people crochet. I'm going to do it by sewing machine because it's quicker and I'm lazy. And then you cut up the middle, and if you're using like Susan's yarns, they're perfect for that, because they like felt together after time. Or you can use a needle and you can felt it yourself, and it won't unravel and it stays in place. I have not used 100% wool, so some of these are wool, like I think the Lise Tailor one is that woolen silk, but I think it's a super wash, so you will need to definitely reinforce with a stitching line, with a machine stitch line. And the lady in Long Avec, Annha, says that if it's super wash, then you definitely need to do it by sewing machine rather than by crocheting or hand stitching it, because it's a stronger stitch, and so it will stop that unraveling. But then after you've cut it and after you've stitched it and then cut it, then you can roll it over and then you reinforce it with a line of ribbon. And this is a top tip from Susan that she gave me, is that it do you ever get cardigans that like grow at the front from the weight of the button band and the buttons? This, putting the piece of ribbon down that seam stops that growing, because it's sort of like sandwiched in place. So that's a top tip. So you won't get that ugly kind of like pulled down bit on your cardigan. So top tip there. Thanks, Susan. So that is that knit. So that is everything that I've been working on. I did alter my mum's jumper because it had slightly long leaves, so I will go and get that, and I'll be right back. And back. So here it is. One thing, there we go, isn't it beautiful? One thing I would say about sizing is follow your gut, because I knew my mum wasn't a size large, but I knitted the large size anyway because that's what the pattern told me to do, and it did come out massive, bless her. So I knit these sleeves, I think they were, was it 15 centimetres or something like that, too long, so I've had to shorten them, so they do look a little bit out of proportion, and actually the body could do with, the body could do with shortening a bit, sort of probably here and then the ribbing end here. So when I was knitting this around the neck, I did have to take out some stitches around the neck as I was picking up for the ribbing, because it was just coming out absolutely massive. And I guess it's because, like, anybody who has like a 40-inch bust might not be the same as somebody else who has a 40-inch bust. Like, everybody's body shapes are different, and my mum is quite petite. It's just she has a big bust. So I should have probably knitted the medium, and it probably would have fitted her. But this is quite a sort of a loose style, and actually she doesn't wear like really loose styles. She tends to wear slightly more fitted, so actually medium probably would have been okay for her, even though it wouldn't have necessarily fitted at the bust. But yeah, I absolutely loved doing this project. It's such a beautiful design. It's so clever. Look at these berries, which, yes, I hand did all these berries. I went a bit mad, and there are quite a lot of the berries, so I was like swearing at myself for putting so much pressure on myself like the day before Christmas and doing all the berries. But it's absolutely beautiful, and look what I sewed in. Just so she knows that it took me a long time, and she will wear it and enjoy it. But it's absolutely such a beautiful pattern, and I really, really recommend if you like this style to have a go at it, because it's so cool. And actually, when I've been knitting this in my knitting group, like some of the other ladies have been saying, oh, I must put that on my to knit list because it's such a pretty design, and it's very Christmassy but without being too overtly Christmassy, so you could get away with wearing this like any time really. So hopefully, I don't think she's actually worn it yet, which, mother, I have to get her to wear it soon. But yeah, absolutely loved doing that. Just trust your instincts with sizing. Like, I should have gone with a medium, but there we go. And when I was doing the berries, so I stuck with the Fibre Spates Cumulus with one strand of that and one strand of a double knit. I actually used the cashmere yarn that I got, that I was going to use for my Susan Crawford knit, but it came out as double knit rather than fingering weight, which I needed for hers. But I used the red of that for the berries, and I'm going to be using that for my cowly thing. So it all worked out in the end. But doing French knots with 2 strands is not easy, my friends. It was tangling like you would not believe, and it took a lot longer than I anticipated because of it, and I had to be quite careful. I could only work with strands that were sort of this long, because otherwise if they were too long they would get all tangled up and make me angry. So and then I'd have to like snap it to get it to unknot itself. So that is something to bear in mind if you do the double thread technique. Is it's a pain in the bum to do French knots with that, so bear that in mind. But it is a really beautiful detail, and yeah, I think, like, I did try to do less berries, but I thought it looked better with more berries because it's quite green otherwise. I just think it's just so pretty. It deserved lots of red little berries on it. So yeah, that's nice. I might have to steal this from her actually. That's beautiful. And I may in the future shorten the body for her, because I did shorten the sleeves, so I might as well do a proper job. But like, you know, when you finish a knit and you just want to go on to the next project, you don't want to necessarily be knitting your old project at the same time. So anyway, that's that one nicely finished for her. So I think that's it for today. I think what I've been doing to bring me joy as well is I have been making marmalade. So it is January, so it is a Seville orange season, and I went to my local grocers, which is the nice thing about where I live. There's lots of independent shops still, and on the high street there is an independent grocers, which is quite an old-fashioned thing to have, because I remember when I was a little girl in my old village where I lived in Hampshire, we did have a greengrocers, and in the 90s it went out of business because that's when the supermarkets, their like pricing wars started, and they started to get much bigger. And we used to have a milkman as well that did the rounds in our street, but I think he went out of business early 2000s, just because the supermarkets sort of took over that market for milk. But I think those kind of things are coming back. I've seen you can, in some areas, I don't think in my village because we live out in the sticks, but you can get milk delivered to your front door, and it's such a like brilliant thing, isn't it? Because like what is worse than running out of milk and having to like pop to the supermarket to get some? Like most people, like we're lucky we do have a shop in our village that does milk, so if we do run out, we can get milk easily. And there's a farm down the road that has one of those vending machines for milk, which is quite fun. But other than that, like you're screwed if you don't have a shop near your house, do you? So like that idea of like someone bringing you milk to your front doorstep every day, it's like such a simple thing. It's like, that's genius, I want that in my life. So if I lived in a town, I'd definitely get milk delivered, even though it's probably more expensive, isn't it? But I don't begrudge the milkmen or the farmers that. They work hard. But all that's to say is that yeah, I went to the greengrocers on the high street and bought 3 kilos of Seville oranges. So I had bought from another shop, from my local supermarket that's an independent supermarket, 2 kilos of oranges, and that made 10 jars of marmalade. And last year I made 12 jars of marmalade because I thought 1 jar of marmalade a month for the year, that's fine. But my dad eats this like it's going out of fashion. He absolutely loves it. So this year I endeavoured to make 24 jars. So 2 kilos of oranges made 10 jars. So I bought another 3 kilos, so I've got that to do. And that's one of those things that fills me with joy, making jams and chutneys. So definitely going to be doing that over the next few days. And I really just implore you to fill your days with joy. If your January's feeling a bit miserable, do something that fills you with joy. Knit in a beautiful sparkly yarn or a colourful yarn or something that makes you happy. Or have a nice cup of tea that you really enjoy, or a piece of cake that you really love, and just bring a little bit of joy to your world that's a bit sad and depressing at the moment. But anyway, that is everything for today. I think at the end of February I'm going up to the Lake District to see Susan, so I will probably film another video early to mid-February, because after that I'll be exhausted from travelling all the way up to the Lake District. But I will see you again soon, I guess. And put in the comments what brings you joy. Is it a nice cup of tea, a nice piece of cake, making marmalade? Have you ever made marmalade before? I recommend it because it tastes absolutely amazing. It is not like the supermarket stuff whatsoever. It is so fresh and so yummy. And well, I would say it's easy to make, but it's a bit of a faff if I'm honest. This method, for this batch, I chopped everything up beforehand, before boiling it, and you chop it all up, put it in water, leave it 24 hours to soak so it softens, and then you boil it up with the sugar to make the jam. I'm trying the other method because 3 kilograms is just blowing my mind. I'm like, I can't stand there and chop 3 kilograms of oranges because it will take me all day. So the other method that I'm going to try is where you just put the whole orange into water and boil them, like there's no soaking beforehand. I can see a problem with this because they are quite pippy, the oranges, so I will have to sit and pick out all the bits of pips, so that could make me angry. But it might be a quicker method than chopping them all up beforehand, which is quite hard on the old hands with the knife. They're quite tough to get through, so if anyone's ever made marmalade, you'll relate to that. But yeah, tell me what brings you joy. Is it a colour? Is it a TV series? Is it making marmalade or eating cake? I'd love to know. So I will see you next time.